Hey everyone, it's Jenna, and in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you 3 ways that you can strengthen your core without exercising. I'm Jenna. I am an embodiment coach, and I help people that are struggling with pain to regulate their nervous system, find therapeutic movement, and the right recipe of exercises so that they can get back to doing the things that they love to do. If you would like to learn more about working with me or explore any of my other offerings, please check out the links in the description box below, and please also like and subscribe. So the first thing that we can do to strengthen our core is to address the relationship of the muscles to each other. So when it comes to our core, there are 4 muscles that we're talking about. It's your diaphragm, your transverse abdominis, the multifidi, which are little muscles that go up and down your spine to help stabilize it, and your pelvic floor. So when it comes to these muscles that make up our core, we want these muscles to have functionality, meaning we want them to be able to turn on and activate when we need them, because that is what the core was designed to do. So that when we go to pick up a box or a heavy object, that is turning on like a corset, wrapping around your spine to help support and stabilize your spine to prevent injury. So one thing that can happen is if, say, the pelvic floor is very tight, which is quite common, then it can be pulling on the diaphragm through the fascial connections and the muscular connections that keep those 2 muscles in relationship to each other. So we want to take a look at that. If the pelvic floor is too tight, then it's going to be affecting the diaphragm and maybe affecting the way that we breathe, our ability to take a deep breath, and vice versa. If our diaphragm is tight because we are not breathing deeply throughout the day and we're not using that muscle and keeping it supple and mobile as it was meant to be, then that's going to in turn affect our pelvic floor and maybe cause excess tension in the pelvic floor, or maybe the pelvic floor muscles will not have enough tone. And so this is why we want to take a look at all of these muscles and how they are relating to each other. It's not enough to just do some crunches. That might just be strengthening the external layer of musculature called your rectus abdominis, but not really getting to those deeper layers of muscle that we're talking about. And so when we're taking a look at how to properly activate and strengthen our core, the first thing that is helpful to take a look at is how are we breathing? Because like I mentioned before, if we're not breathing deeply, then that's really going to affect the relationship of the diaphragm to all of the other muscles that are involved in that system. So let's go ahead and just take a deep breath together. We're going to take a nice deep diaphragmatic breath. There's many different ways to do that, but what I'm going to suggest doing is breathe laterally through the side of your ribs. So you can bring your hands to the side of your ribs, take a deep breath in, and really allow your ribs to expand into your hands. And as you exhale, you'll just feel the lungs naturally deflating, and your ribs will start to just come in towards each other like they're funneling down towards your pelvis. But you don't have to force that movement. It happens on its own. So we're facilitating more of this natural rhythmic breath, the expansion and the contraction that is meant to happen in the diaphragm. And when we do that, we're also going to be affecting the pelvic floor, because the pelvic floor and the diaphragm work together. When we inhale, the diaphragm is going down, it's descending, and the pelvic floor is doing the same thing. As we exhale, it's naturally going to come back up. And so this is like a trampoline that just ascends and descends with the breath. So that's the first thing that I would suggest doing, is starting to become aware of how these muscles are in relationship to each other. If our back muscles are really tight, that's also going to be pulling on the spine and affecting the transverse abdominis and its ability to properly fire and properly engage when we need it to support and stabilize our spine. So start first with that deep breathing. And my second suggestion to strengthen your core would be to notice throughout the day, where are you maybe tensing and holding your stomach in when you don't actually need to be doing that? Because especially as women, we're always taught to hold our stomach in to keep it flat. And not only is that going to restrict the breath, as we talked about before, it's going to inhibit the diaphragm's ability to have that beautiful, natural, and fluid expansion and contraction, but it's also going to inhibit your core from firing the way that it was meant to, because a muscle can be overly tight, which will then make it weak. So just because a muscle is tight does not mean that that muscle is also strong. So if we're holding too much tension in our belly, maybe because of stress, maybe because of poor digestion, or maybe we're just constantly trying to hold our stomach in and flatten our belly because we were taught that having a flat stomach equates being, beautiful or strong or fit. Our core was not meant to be contracting and working for us all the time. It was meant to also be able to be supple and soft and relaxed. This also helps our nervous system become more relaxed when we have a soft belly and when we allow our belly to expand. So one misconception I often see when I'm working with clients and teaching them how to work with the core and strengthen their core is that then they will go out in life and say, okay, I've just been holding in my core all the time. We're really working it hard and really pulling it in. And then I'll have to maybe educate them that this is not how our bodies were designed. These muscles were not designed to work all the time. That would be very exhausting for any muscle and for any of us. None of us can work all the time without experiencing burnout, and our muscles are no different. So learning how to actually relax your belly can be really helpful. And learning how to tone and activate the core musculature as well. And kind of knowing the difference, noticing, when am I holding my belly too tight throughout the day? When am I holding and storing too much tension there in my gut? And how can I relax that? And then also noting when I'm doing exercise, or maybe when I'm walking, or when I'm moving boxes, am I able to fire my core and work from my center? And also, am I able to trust that it is working for me when I need it? Because this is what these muscles were designed to do. And so we can also have that trust and that relationship with our body, that it can work to support us, that we can be supported by our own muscular systems, by these beautiful slings that hold us upright and that work so hard for us throughout the day. And the third way that you can strengthen your core without having to do like crunches or some abdominal exercises specifically would be to learn how to use your core in a more functional way. So as I just mentioned, our core was meant to activate and turn on when we need it to prevent injury, to prevent us from slipping a disc when we go to pick up a child. And one of the ways that we can work on supporting our body's innate natural ability to do that is by practicing it. And so one way that we can just practice that is by taking a deep breath in As you exhale, starting to just feel that cinching front to back around your waistline. And on the inhale, just relaxing it and letting it go. And so we'll practice that again. You're gonna exhale, feel like there's this corset wrapping front to back that's really supporting your spine. And then you're relaxing it and letting it go, taking a deep belly breath. So you're feeling that fluid contraction, as I talked about before, that those muscles were meant to do, the relaxation phase and the contraction phase. And then you can notice that throughout your day as you go through your day doing the various activities. How is that muscle working? Do you maybe notice that it's firing? Are you aware of it? And that would be the first step, is having that awareness of what are those muscles doing for me throughout the day, and are they turning on? Because the core doesn't just get stronger through doing crunches. As I said before, that's the more external muscle, the rectus abdominis. So it gets stronger when it becomes more functional and it starts to work for us throughout the day. And we can help it in that process by learning how to consciously activate it, consciously contract it, and then consciously relax it. And then as we practice that more and more, the body will know what to do. The body will learn how to activate the core when it is needed, and then how to relax it when it's not needed. So a lot of this really comes down to trusting our body, trusting this innate, deep, infinite intelligence within us, or our body's wisdom, our intuition. All of these things we develop through having more body awareness. I have some videos on ways that you can learn how to develop more body awareness if this is something you know that you would like to work more on. So I will link those videos for you below. But just in summary, the 3 ways that I have presented today to strengthen your core is, first and foremost, to take a look at the relationship of those muscles to each other. And for everyone's bodies, it's going to be different. So when it comes to that relationship, we want to notice which muscles are maybe a little bit holding too much tension, right? Which muscles have lost that nice supple pliability that we need to be able to function properly. Am I gripping my pelvic floor muscles too hard? Is my diaphragm constricted and kind of pulled up and in because I'm not breathing deeply throughout the day? And how can I find a more connected, integrated relationship with those muscles? If you want more support with learning how to do that, feel free to reach out to me. Really what this comes down to is learning how to develop that body awareness so that we're in relationship with our body. We have a good communication going on with our body and with its systems. So like any relationship, the foundation is really communication, and it's the same thing with our body, learning how to listen to its wisdom, and also learning how to listen to it when it's telling us that something is off or something is wrong. Oftentimes pain is pointing us in that direction to really take a deep dive into what's going on in our body, what's happening in these layers of muscle tissue. Where am I holding too much tension in my body? Where can I learn to breathe into that tension, allow it to release, allow it to let go? And where do I want to develop more functional strength in these muscles? So where do I need a little bit more engagement, a little bit more awareness and activation? And this doesn't come through doing a bunch of crunches. That doesn't make your core stronger. Having a strong core means that it's working for you when you need it. It's literally got your back. It's going to support you and protect your spine when you need it, and it's going to turn on. And as I mentioned before, the way to do that is to relax the tight overworking muscles and strengthen and learn how to functionally recruit the muscles that are a little bit more sleepy, that aren't as awake and turned on. And we can really do this by listening to the body. Another thing that we talked about was deep breathing, and how that deep breathing really helps to facilitate that natural expansion and contraction of the diaphragm, which is then going to also allow for that same movement in the pelvic floor muscles. And the musculature of the transverse abdominis is also going to respond to that, and everything is going to just be much happier when we breathe deeply. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you want more support in learning more about how to do this, I will put my links down below so that you can reach out to me. And I also have a free roll and release workshop that you can download by clicking on the link below. So go ahead and check that out if you want to learn how to roll out some of those tight overworking muscles that we spoke about. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.